My name is Kristina. I teach here at Bluma. Usually I teach in studio recently. I have a 9-month-old who, was a COVID baby and took a little break. And now I'm back. If you can today, go ahead and grab like a pillow or a bolster or something like that. That will help you be comfy. If you have blocks or if you have like a chair or something that you can lean on, that's always helpful, I find too. We're gonna focus on the hips today. I know that was always what got me when I was pregnant. And then let's meet on the ground in child's pose, okay? Let's do it. All right. And as I was saying, when I was close to the screen, we're really gonna focus on the hips today. So just opening up the hips, strengthening the inner and outer thighs. So that's where we're zooming in on. If it doesn't feel good for you, I want you to just take it down to the mat and relax as much as you need to. All right, so here we go. Let's get into a child's pose to start. Pressing your hands forward. You can rest your forehead down on the ground or leave it up if you need some more room for your belly. Also an option to take your pillow or a block underneath your forehead to give you some more space here. And then as you come into your child's pose, feel free to take your toes apart, giving yourself some space for your hips to sink down. I think prenatal yoga especially is an opportunity to listen to your body and trust that you know what you need. There's no right or wrong way to do a pose. There's just the way that serves you today. Let's take 3 deep breaths together to land here in class. Take a big breath in. And an open mouth exhale. Big breath in. Sigh it out. Fill your belly. And let it go. All right, from here, let's pull up into our tabletop position. Always paying attention to alignment, stacking your shoulders over your wrists, your hips over your knees. And we'll just start with some cat-cows here. On the cow pose, I advise you to just not drop your belly too much. Just keep it more like a tabletop, nice and long. You can lift your throat though and open that up. And then on the exhale, it's a cat pose. You round your spine. And let your breath work with you as you inhale, long spine, maybe look up. Exhale, round the spine, cat pose. And take your knees again as far apart as you want to feel grounded and secure in your pose here. Let's do one more round. Deep breath in. And a full breath out, cat pose. Find a neutral spine. I'm going to take bird dog, opposite leg and opposite arm. So I'm going to take my left toes back, right arm forward. Option to stay right here, or you lift the back foot off the ground. Just taking a few breaths, holding here, making sure your hips are stacked. So like if you had headlights on your hips, they're both facing down towards the ground. We're engaging the core, activating the shoulder and the glute. Now place your hands down and switch to the other side. And as you switch, notice how your body rocks from side to side. And we're going to speed up this transition, and the goal here is going to be to keep the hips still as we alternate lifting the arm and the leg. So go back to tabletop, and it's right arm, left leg extend. Everything down, switch sides. Left arm, right leg extend. Notice the stability, keep going here, that you have to create in the hips and in the core to switch from side to side. Nice, stretching it out, lengthening, trying to keep the back from caving down. And so we're drawing baby up and in. Nice job, even it out, make sure you get both sides. And then we'll meet back in tabletop. From here, I just want you to take some circles around with the hips. So you're kind of coming through that cat pose. And switch directions. Just noticing how your body's feeling today. Nice way to access and open up the pelvic floor here too. Make sure you're still taking those big deep breaths. Nice work. And so from here, we're going to come up onto our knees. I'm just going to turn so I can face you. I'm going to take one leg out to the side. We'll do both legs, so do whatever feels right for you. From here, we're going to take our hands down in front of us. So you've got one leg extended just directly out to the side, or you can take it a little farther back if that feels better. And we're just going to start rocking back and forth. And this is opening up the inner thigh here, your adductor muscles. Those are connected to your pelvic floor, so strengthening those adductor muscles can be super helpful. I know that's been a big goal of mine postpartum, just to like help me feel more secure and like I can jump and nothing goes wrong. Nice, and if you want, you can sink all the way down back, pull all the way forward. Just explore the range of motion that feels good for you. We're going to add on to this from here. Next time you pull up and forward, I want you to lift your arm up. So same leg that's out long, your arm is going to reach and extend. And then as you sit back, arm comes forward and stretches forward. Nice. With the breath, you reach and open. And with the exhale, you press it back. So we're not only moving our body in a way that, feels good and opening, but also, teaching our body how to align our movement and our breath. So that when it does come time to labor, you're just like, yeah, this is what I do. I breathe and I move, and then whoop, a baby. That's what I've told myself all the time. Nice job. Let's do one more here. Exhale, sit back and reach, and maybe you just hold back. You can untuck your toes so that you can sit your hips back farther. This is a real deep stretch here. So do what feels accessible to you today. All right, let's make our way up. Carefully holding in the core, coming back to center. Maybe it feels good to just like rock the hips side to side for a second, take some circles, even it out. Awesome, and then we'll take it over to the other side. So whichever leg you didn't do yet, place that out over to the side. We're gonna take our hands forward and drop them down onto the ground and start with just rocking forward and back. This adductor rock, that's the inside of your thigh. And take it to whatever range of motion feels right today. Getting used to tuning into your body and noticing, okay, is today a day where I stretch a little deeper? Or is today a day where I just take it easy and just appreciate that I am on my mat, moving my body? Maybe you explore moving a little bit deeper, pressing your hip back towards your heel, pulling your chest forward, keeping that extended foot locked down onto the ground. And then next time we're forward, let's add on that lift. So it's the same leg that's extended, arm lifts up. That's your inhale. And then on your exhale, arm reaches forward and hips sink back. Inhale, reach it up. And exhale, press it back. Keep moving with this. We'll do 3 more. Your pace, your speed, your movement. Exhale. Last full one here. Big breath in, reach the fingers to your ceiling. Exhale, sit it back. We'll hold it here for just a couple breaths. Maybe you release your toes, let your hips down. And keep pressing into that pinky side edge of your extended foot. So you're getting that good stretch all the way up. Really nice job. Let's pull forward, come back into all fours. So feel free to shift around your mat or your space wherever you need to be. And let's just take some rocks side to side with the hips. If it feels good, you can always roll your mat under your knees or take an extra pillow under your knees if they're feeling sensitive. We are going to do one more thing on the knees here. All right, so from here, let's take our left foot back, and then we're going to spin up and open here. Bend into your left knee. So now we're opening up as we bend to the side. Again, we'll do both legs, so just do whichever one you want here. Make sure you're feeling good and stable on your standing knee as you bend into the hip and press it out. And notice your top of your body. Try to keep your hips facing forward here as we press open. So we're working on still opening that inside of the thigh, stretching out the hip flexor, which can get really tight if you're sitting, or just like it just gets tight. You got to drive, you got to do all these things where we're constantly in flexion and bending our hips. Really good. Now, if you'd like, you can take that opposite arm up and over for a side body stretch as we move. Just being in the flow, what feels good in your body today. Let's take one more, and then I want you to hold it here. You can place your forearm on your thigh, stretch it to the side. Those obliques do a lot of work for us when we're pregnant, stabilizing, keeping us standing up nice and tall. Maybe even take your bottom hand towards your belly, say hi to baby, or just give yourself a little bit of extra support. Really nice work. Let's come up and switch over right away so we can get the weight off of that leg. So you're gonna take your other foot out. If you'd like to do the same transition we did before, it's right foot back. And then open up. So we're bending into the leg. I'm turning my foot out a little bit, like 45 degrees. As I stretch open here, bending into the hip, keeping your torso face forward so we can really keep expanding right here. If you'd like to incorporate the side body here, we're reaching the opposite hand over towards the bent knee. Don't overthink what's happening with your arm, your body. You're just opening up, trusting your breath to take you where you need to go. Let's do one more, and then we'll hold here. Forearm on the thigh, reach the top arm over. Maybe you take this bottom hand to your belly for a little support. Reminder of the baby that brought you here today. Nice. Let's take one more big breath in. And a full breath out. Come up to stand, come through tabletop again. Last little bit on our knees, I promise. And then from here, we're gonna come into a downward facing dog. So you're always welcome to stay in tabletop if that feels better for you today. Otherwise, tuck the toes under. And just like in all of our other poses, feel free to take your feet as wide apart as you want. I like to take my feet like all the way to the edge of my mat. So you have plenty of room for your belly, for your hips. And as you press your shoulders back, press your chest towards your thighs. It might feel good to pedal your feet out, so bending one knee and then the other. Let's take one more big breath here. And a big exhale out. And walk your feet to the top of your mat. You can take a couple little steps, you can take a big step. Whatever feels right to you. We're gonna meet at the front in a forward fold. So feet about hip width distance apart. You can grab opposite elbows. Maybe a little sway side to side. If you're a little farther along, might feel good to have your feet real wide apart. And just give yourself the space to move and breathe. And whenever you need to take a little break, take a sip of water, sit down, do that. And if your feet are far apart, let's toe heel them in, walk them under your hips, and then walk your hands up. You can bend your knees a little bit. We're coming all the way up to stand. Really nice. So coming to the top of your mat here, we're gonna take a big breath in, mountain pose. Exhale, hands to heart center. Let's do one more like that. Big breath in, reach up. And exhale, hands to heart center. And breath in and reach. This time I want you to drop your right arm, take your left arm over to the side. Feel that side body stretch. Inhale, back through center. Switch it out, other side. Inhale, reach it up. Hands to heart center here. And then I want you to take your hands to your hips, and just as we're standing in this mountain pose, take a little tuck of the pelvis and a release. And just noticing how that feels to activate the glutes and the core, and to release the low back. Take a few of these. And then find that nice neutral position. And so maybe a little tuck of the tailbone, hand on the belly, just feeling how that feels in your body. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, sit it back into a chair pose. Again, feet as wide apart as feels good for you. Sitting the booty back. We're gonna press all our weight into our right foot and slowly step the left foot back for a crescent lunge. Yeah, really good. We're opening up that front of the hip here. You can keep your arms up or interlace your hands, place them on the front of your thigh. We're just gonna rock a little bit here, straightening the front leg and bending the front knee. And if you need to hold on to something, you could take a hand to a wall, a couch, a chair. And as we get into this hip flexor here on the extended leg. Nice job. Whoop, that was my knee. Inhale. Exhale, press. Let's do one more. Inhale. Exhale down into that crescent lunge. Now option to reach the arms up if they weren't already. Sink a little bit deeper. Stretch it out. Hands to heart center. We're going to come back to that chair pose. We spring our back foot up and come all the way up to stand. Take a big release. Nice work. Let's do the other side. So sit back into your chair pose. All of your weight goes into the other leg. For me, it's the left. Right leg goes back. You're in that crescent position. Option to lift the hands up, or you can interlace the hands, place them on your thigh. We're doing that same rock, straightening and bending the front leg, getting into that front of the extended leg that's back. Following your breath, your pace. Again, holding something if you need to, or maybe the thighs or the hips. Let's do 3 more. Last one, hold here. Lift the arms. Bring the hands to heart center, and we're gonna spring forward to that chair pose. And then stand all the way up. Take a big stretch up. Stretch the shoulders, cactus your arms, maybe even a tiny back bend. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Ground for a second here. Take a breath in and a breath out. We're gonna do it again and add on a little bit. So coming back to the top of your mat, Inhale, take that big reach up. Let's stretch the side body. Stretch over to one side. Drop the arm. Come back to center. Reach the other way. Inhale, reach it up. We're going to sit it back into our chair pose, hands to heart center, send the booty back. Weight presses into the right leg. We're going to step that left leg back. We're coming back into our crescent lunge. Inhale, straighten and reach. Exhale, sink it down. We're just doing 3 this time. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, sink it down. Last one, inhale up. Exhale, sink into that crescent lunge, and then we're gonna spin open into warrior 2. Adjust your feet how you need to. Now we're looking for the hips straight forward, pointing that same direction as your knee tracks out over your toes. Your knee can be bent as much or as little as you want. Just try to keep it in line with your toes so that your joints are stacked. Awesome, let's even take your hands to your hips and turn the hips forward so you're feeling that opening happening here. Really nice. And then let's bring in some movement here. Inhale, straighten, and exhale, bend into warrior 2. With your breath, you inhale and lift. Exhale and open. Inhale, lift. Exhale, open and hold here. Take a big breath in and a full breath out. Come all the way up to stand. I'm going to switch over to the other side so you can toe heel your feet in or take a big step. We're coming back to the top of your mat. On your inhale, you reach it up. Sit back into that chair pose, and we switch sides. Scooch over here, so weight into your left foot, right foot comes back. Let's take 3 bends and straightens. Inhale, lift. Exhale, down. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. One more, just like that. Reach it up. Sink down. And then we're opening into our warrior 2. And take your time to resettle your feet. Ground your feet into the earth and then take your hands onto your hips. I like to think of like flattening them out, where you're pressing your thighs back so your hips can face forward. If you want, you can keep your hands right here. Maybe you take them out to that warrior 2 stance, making sure your knee is tracking over your toes. And let's bring in some movement. Inhale, reach everything up. Maybe you take your eyes to your hands. Exhale, warrior 2. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, warrior 2. One more like that. Big breath in. Exhale, hold it here. Take one big breath in as you hold. And exhale, come all the way up to stand. Toe heel your feet together. We meet back at the top of your mat. Might feel good to shake it out a little bit, take some circles with the hips. Do what you need to do, and then take a big breath in mountain pose. Sit it back, chair pose. And last time through this flow here, weight stays in the right leg, right leg. Left leg goes back for that crescent lunge. 3 lifts, inhale. And exhale, I'm cactusing my arms, little shoulder opener here. Inhale, reach. Exhale, open. Inhale, lift. Exhale, open it up. Stay low, and we make it into our warrior 2. Again, settling in so that you have good form. You feel really solid on your feet. A big breath in and lift, eyes to the ceiling. Exhale, eyes track over your right hand. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bend. One more big breath in. Breath out. You're welcome to hold right here, or we'll take it into an extended side angle. Forearm drops down to the thigh. Top arm lifts up. Making sure, just like in Warrior Two, your hips are square facing the same direction. If you'd like to, you're welcome to take your arm behind you, hand to your lower back. Little shoulder opener as you're here, but just make sure you're really conscious of your low back, not letting it arch out too much. Maybe even hand to baby, like stay there, hold on tight. And final option as we hold here, take the arm out overhead. Again, lengthening the side body, the obliques, which are working so hard to support you. On your next inhale, come all the way up to stand. Toe heel those feet together, and we'll meet at the top of your mat. We've got the other side to go. Reach it up, mountain pose. Weight stays in the left foot as you send the right foot back. And as always, just make sure you do both sides. Let's do 3 big breaths here. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bend. Inhale, lift. Exhale, opening the shoulders. Breath in. Breath out. Hold it here and open up into Warrior Two. And settle your feet. Readjust those hips. Let's move here. Inhale, lift. Eyes gaze to the ceiling. Exhale, eyes track over that finger that's going forward. Inhale, reach. Exhale, release. Inhale, up. Exhale, open. Coming into that extended side angle, you can stay here or drop the forearm down. Lift the arm up. You're welcome to adjust the back foot however you need, scooch it in or out. Really focusing today on those hips, so pointing the hips forward so you're opening up. Reaching the top arm, or you can take it behind your back if you'd like for that little front of the shoulder stretch. And then final option, if you'd like to extend the arm out long, getting that nice side body stretch. One more big breath in. And a full breath out. Come all the way up to stand. Toe heel your feet together. And we'll come back to the top of your mat. A really good time if you want a little break, sip of water, reset. And then from here, we're going to do a short balancing series. So if you have a wall or a chair or some blocks or something that can support you, I always find that to be a nice little backup, just in case. So we're going to come to the top of our mat. And starting with the right leg anchored down onto the ground, your left knee just lifts up so that your left heel is balancing. If you feel like you need your left heel to tap on something, you could tap it onto a block, but the weight is mostly in the right foot here. Just noticing how it feels to balance. I feel like every day of pregnancy is different, right? Your body changes so much. It's nice to just like, okay, check in, where are we at? You're like, stop talking, I'm trying to balance. And from here, we're gonna take it back into an airplane pose. So you're gonna take your leg back, and the goal here is just a nice straight spine from your head to your hips to your heel. So this may be as far as you go. That feels good. If you like to hinge forward a little bit more, maybe you have a chair or a couch in front of you, just keeping the head, hips, and heel all in one line. And I've got my hand on this ottoman thing that's helping me feel safe and secure. And then final option, if you like, is to come into a half moon. So we're stacking our hips open, just like when we're moving from Crescent Lunge to Warrior Two. Hips are stacked. I've got my hand on this chair still. Maybe you reach up and maybe you surprise yourself with like, cool, I'm super pregnant, look at me. In a half moon pose. I always felt like those little victories are like actually really big victories. Really nice work. Let's come through center. Square the hips down. And then you're going to come all the way up to stand. Bend your knees as you plant your feet and lift it up. Really great work. We're gonna go over to the other side now. I'm just switching so I'm not turning my back away from you. From here, hands at heart center or on the hips, we're switching sides. So this time your left foot is grounded into the earth. Your right leg is picked up off the ground. Just noticing that balance, how we're getting some work in the hip flexor here. Maybe your foot is like shaking. That's good. It means you're trying something new, working out. From here, we're taking it back into that airplane pose. So again, just thinking about one long line. Doesn't matter how far forward you go. Maybe it's a couple inches forward. Maybe you're hinging farther. Whatever feels good in your body with your hips still facing towards the earth. And then from here, we'll open up into that half moon pose. So taking that bottom hand down to whatever you've got access to, chair, table, bed, pillow. Hips open to the side. If you want to tap your foot down, you can do that. Opening. One more breath in. And then we take it down, bend the knees, come all the way up to stand. Nice job, shake it out. Let's take our hands to our hips and just take some circles here. Big circles with the hips. As we do balancing, we're also working a lot of like the sides of our hips, our core. Feels good to stretch it out. And take your hip circles the opposite direction. Allow yourself to just move and flow. Nice work. Okay, we're gonna come to the top of our mat. Same transition we've been using, keeping the weight in the right foot. We're gonna step the left leg back, crescent lunge. Open up to your warrior two. And then this time we're coming into a triangle pose, so both legs are straight. Hips face forward, so we're opening up. Option to take the arms out, and then you reach the right arm towards the right toes and lift the left arm. And so I don't want you to think too much about bringing the right hand to the ground as much as you're thinking about bringing the left hand to the ceiling. So we're lengthening the side body, pressing the hips forward, building those stabilizing muscles. Maybe you take your gaze up to the ceiling, challenge your balance a little bit. Take your hands to your hips, come all the way up. You're gonna turn your toes forward. So toes are in line. I'm stepping my back foot in a little bit for a pyramid pose. Now it's up to you how far your feet are apart. I like to take them like really far apart, like railroad tracks for this. Hands are on your hips, and then you just take a little hinge forward. You should feel it stretching out your hamstrings, back of your legs. Again, if you have something in front of you, you can hold on to it. Or maybe hands to your hips. Or if you have the space, you can take hands down to the ground. Take one more big breath here. Hands to your hips. Exhale it out, stand all the way up. Turn your toes forward. We're gonna come through a goddess pose here. So toes are out, heels are in. You guys know the drill with this one. We've been working on that front hip opening this whole time, so just think back to your warrior two, to that half moon. You're pressing your knees back, sitting your hips down. Then maybe you take your hands to your hips and find that little pelvic tilt we were working with earlier. So you're protecting your low back. Just notice if it feels good in your body to rock or sway or move, or if stillness is calling to you. Maybe you take one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly. And see if you can, as you move, drop your hips a little bit lower, open up and sink in. Taking a few big, deep breaths in and out. Option if you'd like to bring in some movement here. Inhale, star pose, reach everything up. Exhale, sink it down. Goddess pose, can you sink a little lower? Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, sink it down. One more time, big breath in. Exhale. Come all the way up to stand. We're going to transition into triangle pose on the other side. So you're welcome to get there however you'd like, or you can just turn the left toes out, right toes in. This should be the other direction. Reach the arms out long and reach forward. So left fingertip towards the left toes, reaching the right arm up to the ceiling. Again, don't worry so much about bringing the bottom hand down. I want you to think about reaching the top hand up and pulling that bottom hip forward so your hips are in line. There's a little bit of like core containment happening. Our transverse abdominals wrap all the way around our body. That's what I want you to think about using. They're like holding you up as you reach to the ceiling. Maybe you take your gaze up, challenge the balance a little bit. And then on your next inhale, you're going to come all the way up. We're going to go into that pyramid pose. So you're turning both of your toes to face the front of your mat or back or wherever you're at. Back foot steps in a little bit. Maybe you take your feet out nice and wide, like even as wide as the mat. Hands on the hips. And you hinge forward. So we're working on some mobility in the back of the legs, hamstrings, glutes. Maybe you stay right here. Maybe you take your hands onto a chair or table. Maybe you take them towards the earth. If you've got your hands down on something, you can drop your chin, release your head. Try to take some tension out of your neck. Let's take 2 more deep breaths in and out. Try to press those heels down. In and out. Hands come to your hips. And you slowly rise yourself up to stand. And pivot forward, toes out, heels in. We've got another round of that goddess pose here. Sink it down. And let your arms go wherever feels good. Maybe they're at heart center, hips. I'm taking my arms out. Sometimes it just feels good to take up space, right? Yes, rock side to side. Find some movement in this version of your goddess pose. Maybe you even want to move the arms a little bit, let the shoulders release. Maybe you've got other kids that you're toting around all day and those shoulders are like, wow, so strong, but so tight. That's how I feel. I've got a toddler and a baby and they're both like a lot of pounds. It's good to release the shoulders. Maybe take your mind off how hard your lower body's working right now. Let's find those 3 big breaths. Inhale, star pose, reach up. Exhale, goddess pose, sink down. 1 more up and down. Hold it here this time. I want you to sink low, sink low, sink low. Maybe you take your hands to your thighs. If you'd like to take a little shoulder stretch, drop one shoulder forward. Lift it up. Switch sides, other shoulder drops. And lifts. Come all the way up to stand. Whew. Quads on fire. Walk it in about halfway. We're going to come into our deep yogi squat. So if you have a block or a pillow or something comfy that you can put under you, I'm going to take that just underneath my hips here. And then we're going to sit down into our yogi squat. So you get to decide what kind of pose you want this to be. Would you like it to be an active pose with your hips off the ground? Would you like it to be a more releasing pose where you have your sit bones relaxed down onto a pillow or a block? It's your practice. This day may be different than the other days. It's a practice of letting go of what, yoga should be like and allowing it to be what you need in your body today. You know your body. You're the best person to know what you need and to know what your baby needs. Think about maybe pressing your elbows into the insides of your thighs, opening up those hips even a little bit more. We're going to stay here for 3 breaths. Maybe you close your eyes. Deep breath into the belly. Exhale it all out. 2 more just like that. In and out. Last big breath. In and exhale. And we're going to come out through a forward fold. So I want you to think about turning your toes forward, plant your hands down in front of you, and lift the hips up. And so now we're turning toes forward in line with the heels. Might feel good to rock the hips a little bit side to side. And from here, you're going to take it into this adductor stretch. So you're going to walk your feet out real nice and wide. And then you're going to bend down into the right leg. Left leg goes out long. Left toes that are extended are facing up. You might have your right heel down on the ground. You might not. If this feels like too much, you can take your pillow or your block underneath this thigh for some support if it's too much of an inner thigh stretch here. All right, let's walk it over to the other side. Yeah, big hip stretch as you walk it over. Switch it out. Move this out of my way. Extended leg, toes are up. Feeling that stretch from your calf, like your Achilles all the way up. The inner thigh, maybe the back of your glute is feeling some stuff. And then your next few breaths, you can choose to hold one side and then the other, or you can walk your hands from side to side as you extend the leg. So this is a pretty deep hip stretch, but it might feel really good for you today. And again, if this is too much, just hold in one place and place a pillow underneath the extended leg. Let's take 2 more breaths, whatever you're doing. And then from here, we're going to make a very graceful transition to the ground. Just get your booty down onto the ground. Take your legs in front of you for a second here. Hands behind you, just pedal out the knees and release some of that tension that might have built up in the legs from those last few moves. And then from here, we're going to come into this 90-90 stretch. So what it's going to look like, you're going to take your feet apart and just windshield wipe your knees from side to side. And this is really good for getting some more mobility, flexibility in the outer hips. So I've got my hands way behind me. I want to see it from this way. And reaching the knees towards the earth, they may or may not get anywhere close to it, but that's the direction they're going in as you rock side to side. And then next time your knees are over to the right, I want you to drop them down to the ground. So you're going to be spin to the side, and you're looking for 90 degrees in your legs, 90 degrees at the knees, at the hips, and at the back knee. From here, you can stay right here. This is already a pretty intense stretch for the outer hip, or you can take your hands forward over the front leg, like if you were in a pigeon pose, and just a little hinge forward will get you into that outer hip. If you've got some blocks or a pillow or something, a toddler, you can put your forearms onto that here for a little bit more support. Lift, space for babe. If this feels good, stay here as long as you want. Or option, I'm just turning so you can see me, to take your right arm, so that forward arm to the side, and lift the top arm up. So getting back into the side body we've been working with. Just a big lift and stretch. Maybe you reach the arm over. Really nice job. We're going to come back up through center. Find center again with those feet out, and just take a few more rocks side to side. You can notice the difference in how your hips feel after, staying for a second with the one side. Haven't gotten to the other one yet. And after a few times, let's go the other direction. So for me, it's my left leg that'll be forward now. You're finding that like 90-90. And so it's like pigeon pose with your front leg, but you're just also doing it with your back leg. 90 degrees in the knees, the hips, the knees. Maybe you stay lifted up right like this. Maybe you want a little bit more in that outer hip and you walk your hands forward. Could be just a tiny hinge. Maybe you have a bolster or pillow or something and you want to release a little bit farther down. Should be nice room for your belly here between your shin and your hips. And then option to stay here, option to take that side body stretch. So it's your left arm that's going to go down and top arm reaches up and lifts up. Deep breaths as you fill the body. And exhale, release. Let's come all the way up to a seat here, taking a wide-legged forward fold. Just notice what feels good in your hips today. You guys know some days of pregnancy, you're like, man, I'm super flexible. Just notice if that serves you today or if it maybe feels like a little uncomfortable to go too far. So feet nice and wide apart. And I want you to start with just reaching out front to the center. I like to take my pillow here or whatever you've got as something to put my hands, my forearms on. And getting back to those inner thighs. If you want to deepen this stretch, you're going to flex your toes up towards the ceiling. And I'll continue to get at the back of your leg, up from your heel to your back of your knee to your hips. And let's take a little hamstring stretch here. So if you come up to seat, lift the arms up. Let's go ahead and tuck the left leg in, turn your torso towards the extended leg, and reach forward. If you've got, belly right now, reach both hands inside of your right leg. If you want a deeper stretch, you can walk the hands towards the outside. Just give yourself the grace and the space to just enjoy this practice with you and your baby, knowing that you're preparing both of you for the, breath and patience that is needed. Yes, for labor and also just for motherhood. You're already giving yourself so much just by being here for you today. Let's come up through center and switch sides. So other leg goes out long, bend that knee in, reach your arms up and turn your torso over towards the extended leg and then reach forward. Doesn't matter how far forward your hand goes. Again, if you want a deeper stretch, you flex your toes towards your face. Hands can be on the inside of the thigh. Maybe walk them towards the outside if you're looking for a little deeper stretch. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Come all the way up. We're going to roll onto the side and just do a side lying stretch on each side. So for this one, I do want you to have something to prop your knee up on. So grab a couch cushion or whatever you need to grab. And what you're going to do, you're welcome to watch first. Coming through your side here, you're going to take your top leg on top of your pillow here. You can relax the top of your body down. And so we're stretching out the outer hip here, the glute med. This might feel like just enough for you right now. If you have a little more room you want, you can take your top knee and just drop it down towards the ground, deepening this stretch. Final option, if maybe you're like earlier or longer, you just feel comfortable with it, you can open up into a little bit more of a twist. This is an open twist, so, just do what feels good in your body. If you've got that pillow under you, that'll also help, stabilize your core as you open that shoulder. Remember that option is always there just for side lying with the pillow. Still a real good stretch. And take your time to switch over to the other side. You can just roll on over. I'm going to switch like this just so I can keep seeing you guys. And so again, we're just coming into that side lying pose. You can stay exactly like this, just with your knees stacked. Next option is to take that pillow or stack of pillows, whatever you've got. Drop the top knee over. I'm just going to keep walking you through variations of this. Just stay where it feels good. You can take the bolster away and drop the front knee down. Just increasing that stretch in the outside of the left hip. Final option, if you wanted, is to open. So now we're getting a little stretch in the thoracic spine, the mid-back as well. Remember, this is an opportunity to listen, to check into your body and with what feels healing and whole today. And then from here, you're welcome to just stay in this pose or take it into whatever you want your final Shavasana to look like. And to me, Shavasana just means a pose that allows you to rest completely. One option you can try, if you have that pillow we've been using, take your hips up against it and release your body back onto it. You can keep your knees bent if that feels good, or release the legs out long. I find this to be a really nice stretch for the shoulders and the low back. If you want to, this is like next level, but you could prop this up into more of like a incline kind of chair situation. I find that the more pregnant I get, the higher up I want the seat to be. And you lean back onto that. There are so many ways that we can support our body. Through strength, through movement, and through rest. Wherever you are, take one hand onto your heart, one hand onto your belly. Acknowledge yourself and your baby for making it here to class today, for taking the time for you, for moving and breathing and listening and learning. Let's take 3 breaths together. Deep breath in. Exhale. Big breath in. Open mouth, let it go. Last one, big breath in. Open mouth, release. Awesome, mamas. Thank you so much for taking time for class today. Have a wonderful rainy weekend. I hope you're able to just take it easy. Namaste. Thank you.